What is up? It is Ken. We are going to go over, this is Pro Tricks, the Flow Tricks Pro Group. Got a video submission yesterday. I want to really go over this and talk about Tyler's submission. So, Tyler, can you check out this video? I was swinging chucks in the sand. I've already watched this video a couple times. It's awesome. I was just trying to get ideas for what I could recommend. I was hoping to get some insight on it. Well, I will say, spinning on a sand dune, oh my goodness, that's awesome. Looking for your opinion on something that you liked, some things that you demonstrated that you could improve on, some suggestions for something new you could take forward to add to your routine. After I do a throw, I'm not sure what to do besides wrist rolls. Maybe there's something I can transition into. On a side note, at this point, I just show off for family and friends and would like to eventually build, whoops. I love how it just like auto forwards. Would eventually like to build into a more professional routine for a bigger audience. Many thanks in advance for your help. I love performing. When we're talking about performances as opposed to spinning, we have two totally different branches though. So if you want me to give you performer advice, the number one thing that I'm gonna say before I really get into this is we're gonna talk more about body work then. A lot of times with spinning, your focus is the chucks or whatever prop you're using. But when you're talking about performing it, it's about your body and how it relates to the chucks. You're thinking more about your presentation and you look at the planes, so your body actually has planes as well as the chucks. So it's a totally different approach. It will help accentuate your movements more. So I think it's a fantastic endeavor to take over. But let's go ahead and just dive right in and we'll go into a few things. I'm gonna start with the things I like the most. The biggest one, we'll go back here, is you have a great amount of diversity. Even though you may feel like you may be doing the same tricks over and over again, the fact is the chucks go so fast that it's hard for the average person to know. Look, there's the neck slide, there's over the shoulder pass, there was a rip right there, back to the neck pass, almost dropped it, but you recovered well, under the leg throw, catch, by the chain by the way, which is good, that was a good save. There's a rip again, and now you're doing the winds and the bicep catch. Like you're going through a lot of things. When we're talking about performing it, you're actually going a bit fast in the planes of your body. I will say that you could sell it better if you looked at how your body moved. Now, if you think about performance, or you think about dance, or you think about actors, we can take an actor as a perfect example. When you think about an actor, you know, when they want to be sad, like their face will show, right? But not only that, their body, where maybe their shoulders sink, and it's in the same way with nunchucks. It's like when you do a technique, if you want to do power, your body becomes this powerful mechanism. If you can create a sense of power with that, you will also convey that. And at the same time, you can convey like instability too if you need to, because if you create that right before you do a power move, it will make it all that much bigger. So start thinking in terms of what your body is saying. If we look at this, first and foremost, I want to say you have a huge amount of techniques, and I think that's one thing I really like is how fast you've picked all of this up. I can't believe that you're still kind of new to the game, because that's awesome. Got the helicopter throw. I won't even tell you where I was. It took me years to really develop where I'm at. But what I'd like to see is we're going to start with your body and just kind of look at your chest. Imagine your chest is kind of a spotlight, right? And it's shining forward, and just kind of look at where it points to. And also take a look at your footwork. So generally speaking, I generally have a reason for when I move forward or backwards, unless I'm trying to catch a chuck. If I'm trying to catch a chuck, then I can go any direction. But I generally would say, if you start creating some strategies, it'll help you consider and maintain like different types of movements. For instance, if I want to get more intense or intricate, I'll move forward and get way up close in front of the audience so they can see it. See, I can't do that back here. I can, but it doesn't have the same effect, right? What are you looking at here is mostly my body. My body's going to say more back here than my chuck work. But as I get closer, my chuck work says more than my body. So you use spatial distancing, the sagittal plane, forward to backwards. Use that to convey like different styles of spinning. As you get closer, you can focus more on the intricacies of your chucks. As you go back though, you're gonna want to put more body work into it, because that's what they're gonna see more. So instead of ribs, you might deeper stance. Ow. This is gonna have a lot more impact than not. So, and that's just quite simply because your body gets smaller. And the smaller you get, the bigger the movements you have to make to compensate for that. So as we go back to here, you can also think of that in terms of chucks. Generally speaking, when I do movement, I only go left to right. If you think, we talked about planes with nunchucks, we have the wall plane, and we have the wheel plane, right? And we have the back plane. So we have a box that's around us. There's one here, there's two here, and there's one behind us. Our body is very similar. You can face diagonally or even diagonally and down. It's just very rare to, like if I face diagonally and down, it's just really rare that you can get the same kind of power. And this is simply just my chest. This is just how my body is communicating. I can do the same techniques straight forward to the side, to the side, to the front. And it's gonna have a different effect than if I just lurched forward just a little bit and then changed my plane just a little bit. It has a huge difference in terms of the energy that you convey. So a big piece of advice that I'd like to say is, see if you can think of your chest like a spotlight, and it's either going forward or sideways. It's always pointing some direction, but that will kind of help in terms of thinking about movement and creating more power. And generally speaking, you don't want the chest to point downward either. This just creates, it's kind of like, again, if we're talking about performances, people read body language, and usually when the chest is downward, I don't want to say it's like a low self-esteem thing, but usually when people are shy or withdrawn, they go downward. And when they want to be seen, they go bigger and upward. Like the spotlight is going into the sky, right? And then if you want to be intimate with the crowd, then it shines directly at people. So then you get your chest pointed at people while it's open. It's a very subtle thing, but I feel like people can see this. So generally when I'm doing videos, my chest usually faces the camera, and you'll notice, watch the difference if I keep my chest facing towards the camera as opposed to my chest follows my chucks where I'm going like this. Same move. My head is facing this way, now watch. Everything faces to the front. Same move. Oops. Here I am talking as well as looking at this camera. I'm looking at my own, I gotta stop. It's a bad habit. Same move, but now it's like I'm using my chest to command or control. It pulls you in a little bit better than this. This kind of steals away, right? So I'm not saying that you're doing this, but you're doing it in a very small amount. In a more minor amount, I wanted to go a little bit further so you can see the difference. So what I'd like to suggest is, especially for performance, if you want to get in front of people, I think this will enhance the power that you're creating, or the energy. It'll invite people in more. We're gonna go back here and I'll show you. So as you can see, the chest is kind of pointed downward right here, and there's a diagonal shift, and I can see that here. Like that was a good, but then it's kind of moving. Now I like that sideways stance there too. But what you can also see is the body is kind of moving, changing its angles very quickly, as well as your patterns, as well as your chucks. Which kind of takes me to a second part, like right there. I'll give you an example here. See that right there? That's good, but you can notice that you're not quite forward. You're a little bit diagonal on that one as well. Let me give you an example. So when we're going like this, well, actually it's more like this, right? This can work, but you can either go this way where I'm straight ahead, and that way I can just like really address you. Like here, it's pointed right at you. My face and my chest are all pointed at you, and that's a little bit different than even if I go like this, right? Or the other one, which most of the time crowds love to see circles, is just doing it sideways. And in that case, I'm here. Now you can see the circle, you can see a deeper stance, you can see like, you get the whole body motion involved with that one too. That actually creates different. It's kind of funny, but yeah, from here to here to here, you can see that there's different kinds of ways to present the same move, and some of them, depending on what you're trying to do, is gonna be a little more effective. If you wanna connect more, be intense with the audience, straightforward, eye contact, boom. If you wanna present like this really badass kind of pose, sideways, then it creates like, it's more all-encompassing. It doesn't pull the audience in, rather it just creates a showcase. You can kind of use that as a way to fine-tune a lot of these moves. Let's go back here and see. Good. Now another thing that you can also do is add a little bit of pauses. So right there, when you grabbed it with your bicep and you immediately went to thread it out, definitely be like, stop for a second. Stop. Especially with an audience, if you want them to clap. If you want them to clap, count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Did you notice here what's happening is my chest is in a diagonal place, and it's because I want to make it look like I don't care. It's kind of interesting, but if I go like this, it looks like this creates a different effect than if I put my chest just slightly off and I look away from the audience. Again, we're going into subtleties of body language, but it makes a huge difference depending on how my facing is with this. So consider the way that you're facing, and what we're talking about here is adding stops. And adding stops, slowing down, speeding up. In flow, it doesn't matter. You do whatever you want to do, like as a spinner. But if we're talking performance-wise, you use this in the same way that I pause when I talk, or how my voice goes up, voice goes down. It creates inflection, right? And that's kind of what you want to do with the chucks. As you're spinning these things, keep in mind you do want to pause. You do want to go slower. You do want to go faster. Yes, that was good. Okay, so you did that there. You held it there. Check it out though. A suggestion I can make is to go bigger. Like, see where your hand is? That was good right there. That is a fantastic move. But even extend your hand, like lock it out almost. Because the thing about performing is you can never go too big, it feels like. So right now, what'd you do? You do here, and then it's kind of like this. It was there, but make it bigger. As big as you possibly can. Or if you go in, just really try to make either, like, try to create circles or lines, or, and in this way you can kind of see my hip and my body still control things. My chest generally tries to stay forward, but it can move to the side, but everything feels very deliberate. And that's what we want to do, is we want to cut off excess motion and add on what feels like the whole body is deliberately moving with it. All right, we're gonna go back here. Yes, good. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that was awesome. That was great. Could also suggest that when you do that throw, when you catch it, have like a badass catch. Wait, where was it? When you throw it, have a great catch and pause right there as well. Catch and then pause. See right there, that was good. You could have paused just a little bit longer though on that one. Again, this is just for performance or whatever. If you throw it up in the air, catch, pause. We're going fast, raw, and we throw it up, and we catch. Oops, and you miss. But whatever, catch, pause. I really like the clutch, or anything where you can stop, because I feel like a clutch is a good one. A clutch is also a good way to like keep your legs together and just create this moment where it's like it's gonna move, but it's not quite gonna move. And that goes with stances too. Can kind of give you a help with your stance here, which is, now this isn't always the case, but when your legs are together, it generally creates more instability. And when they're apart, it creates stability. For instance, if I stand like this, there's stability here. It creates like a triangular pattern that makes everything feel very grounded, like I'm very solid in my motions. As I stand up here, it's not so stable. Like as I try to do my punches, I don't have a lot of balance. So you can do this using your body language to convey a sense of something. For instance, when I do a clutch like this, it feels like I'm about to move. So if I'm doing if I'm in like the stable stance where my legs are apart, and then I go into a clutch like this, you can almost feel that I'm about to move. So I'm like, boom, and I go back into motion, right, and stop, whoosh. What I'm trying to say is it's like a comma. It makes you want to move, makes you want to spin, want to go with it. So yes, I probably am giving you, I'm going to stop with that on the performance advice. I can go on and on and on about performance technique and body language. I feel like it's a whole nother skill set, and it's awesome as people start to explore it more. I still have a lot to learn with performance. But I wanted to share that because I feel like, especially if you wanted to be in front of people, those kinds of tips is what's gonna like take you so far ahead, more than learning a few extra techniques, more than even learning to smoothen out your flow, getting your body involved. Huge, huge. Let's go back. Okay, so I'm gonna answer one of your questions too. After I do a throw, I'm not sure what to do besides wrist rolls. Is there something you can transition into? And the answer really is you can do anything. Like, you can go anywhere. A throw is just a throw. For instance, you could throw and then go right back into a throw. Or you can easily throw and go into a clutch. It just depends on where it's at. You could throw and go into a rotor pass here. Whatever direction the chuck is going, for instance, you could also just change your grip on the throw. So if I'm going opposite and I catch it here, I'm in back grip. This changes things. I can either throw it back. You can do a wrist roll too, but just think of all the different options. You can throw and go into a syncopated, you know what I mean? I like throws into throws. Like, I saw you did a horizontal throw. You can catch a horizontal throw and swing it into another horizontal throw. It's so dark in here, I probably need it. But you can throw, and just keep pulling it back and forth like this. You know, if you do a horizontal throw, you can take it and go straight into like horizontal finger rolls. There's a lot of different options, of course. Any pass, anything. Just, it really depends on what you're looking to do afterwards. Go straight into hyper style. How about throw and just catch it and pause? Throw, catch, pause. You know? Or throw, bounce, pause. You know, you've got some options. The pause is going to be great again in the performance standpoint. If we're looking at combinations though, you can throw, but let's say it needs to go a certain way. Just imagine the very first thing after you catch it is to just bounce it. So throw, bounce, and then all of a sudden you have all the other options of, you know, the opposite spin. So for instance, if you want to throw here, but then you want to end up with an under the leg throw here, you can just do a throw, bounce, under the leg, because all we had to do is just change the direction once. And then it's as simple as working those moves over and over and over until it becomes muscle memory. So anyways, I hope this helps, Tyler. Big, huge thing on performance. I love how far you've come. And I'm glad that you actually asked about wanting to perform in front of people, because yeah, I don't get to talk about it enough. But I'm really excited to see where you take it. So, and hey, it is Thursday, so I will probably see you guys in about 5 hours or so. Anyways, hope this helps. Let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.